It's time for Sustainable Living with Glenn Boblitz, the show that helps you be prepared to care for your family regardless of the circumstances that may come your way. Now, here's your host for today, Mark Lamb.
Well, back in the studio with Glenn Boblitz, and the world keeps changing every time. It seems like we take a week off and we come back and
somebody goes, "Did you hear about?"
Right. Or something.
I don't tell me no more. My jelly bean jar of threats is full.
Well, that was even before we started a war, with Iran that we were experiencing that. And now, you got everything. You got the Strait of Hormuz, which is a mess right now. As we're recording this, we're just a few days away from Trump's deadline.
Yeah, buddy.
Where he says he's going to blow it all up. But he blows it all up. You talking about some real change in the world.
Yeah, like Japan kind of changes.
Yeah.
When we blew it all up last time, the world definitely changed. And pray for that never to happen.
Yeah.
Because a lot more people can blow up more stuff than that. So
right.
Everybody keep calm out there, but be prepared just the same. But and that's what I want to get at it. You can't do nothing to stop that part other than voice your opinion about it.
Right.
And I don't think to give a crap about our opinions, but
yeah,
I'm gonna voice it anyway. I'm gonna be a thorn in their side until then.
Right.
But I'm gonna have my voice heard, and one of the ways is vote, people.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you think, how bad it is, you vote anyway.
Right.
Don't make me come find you.
Well, can we talk about vote for a minute?
Sure.
We're seeing the vote yes, vote no. And, yes is a positive normally. But on this vote coming up on April 21st, right now we are 5 Republicans against 6 Democrats in the state. That's pretty balanced.
Right.
We're short by 1. If they get what they want, it's going to be like 10-1. Democrats over Republicans if you vote yes.
Their yes commercials sound like it's something just fantastic.
Right.
I got to give them kudos for the marketing.
Smart.
Don't fall for that crap. It is a definite no vote on this.
And they pulled Trump out of context talking about another state where he says we need 5 more. He's talking about another state. He's not talking about Virginia. So it's all disingenuous. Of course, it's politics.
Oh, you mean they put out disinformation?
Right.
Well, imagine that.
They learned from 60 Minutes.
Right.
Take the answer from a different question to a different...
yeah.
To make it sound good. But anyway, I digress.
Just
vote no.
What I want to talk about is wartime shortages.
Okay. Well, we're here, yeah.
I remember my parents talking about this, and my parents were older than most of you out there, but they went through war-torn, not so much war-torn, but a war-affected economy.
Right.
So it changed her whole life and way of thinking. You had to really think ahead and be careful what your budgets were, because there was no money. During World War II, everything was in turmoil. Now, right now, we're not in that kind of turmoil, but we're real darn close. But the effect is still the same. Our supply chains were cut off.
Sure.
For a lot of things, not so much the oil like everything's geared towards today, but all the oil back then was going to the war effort because it was World War.
Right.
This is no different. It still had consequences. And those consequences are starting to show up here. Now, we all know that the Strait of Hormuz is messing up the oil flow for the whole world.
Right.
We're not as in bad a shape as some of the other countries.
Right, because we fixed that problem.
Right. So those countries are going to become pretty unstable pretty quickly when they run out of fuel. And they're at that point right now. You hear it all the time. I don't have to beat that dead horse, but we get a lot of stuff through that strait. A lot of commerce comes through that strait, and that's not going through just because they're not letting oil tankers go through. They're not letting anything go through other than what they've decided was critical to keep the world from blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
But all the rest of the stuff is not coming through either.
Right.
Doesn't affect us as much, except for our people that don't like us,
Right.
like China.
Yeah.
And some of the Arab countries are kind of shifty, and we get stuff from all over the world. With the global economy,
Right.
how's that working out for you folks? But you're starting to see it show up in the stores. You know, the electronics and things are not flowing like they were.
Right.
Plastics, and that has a lot to do with the oil. I mean, it's not just gasoline for your car here, folks.
Right.
There is a lot of stuff made from plastic, petroleum products.
Absolutely.
That's what it's starting to hit. You know, I'm in the construction industry. I see it in my conduit. Conduit prices are, pew, and that's not going to stop.
Right.
So let's say that they get a good agreement going, and they go, okay, we're going to let it start flowing out a little bit, and it'll take a long time to get down to my conduits again before they start making conduits. They're more worried about keeping the electricity on, the energy flowing, the fuel flowing. You got to get that first. Now, the shortages also cause prices to get crazy. Supply and demand. You're not so stupid that you can't figure that part out.
Right.
We all see it. We all feel it. And there's going to be some continual shortages for a while on products, not just your fuel and oils and that kind of thing, but just products. And those things are going to be rationed, and not rationed in a way that they were in World War II when you had ration stamps. You couldn't buy a set of tires in World War II because the rubber was rationed because of the war effort.
Right.
So they're still going to have stuff in the store. But the supply and demand says if I only have 5 items instead of 105, the price of those 5 items is going to go through the roof.
Sure.
So there's certain things that you're going to pay more. They're going to be there, but there's not going to be as many of them. I have a friend that works in the grocery industry, and they're already seeing that. Instead of 10 cases of this item for all their chain stores, they're only getting 1. You have to plan for this. For your household budget. That's all there is to it. And if you can buy it now while it's still available, it's going to be a crunch on your budget, yes. But later it's going to be a bigger crunch. And if you've bought a few extra, you're that much ahead. You've hedged against that kind of inflationary pricing. So what is it? Really, it's the whole global food supply. In a large agricultural sense and in individual things, you know. So medicine and healthcare, that's a big deal. And we get a lot of that from one of our enemies, which
China.
is really bad.
Yeah.
And, you know, we all know it. And Trump's been trying to fix that and did a lot to fix that, but it's not fixed. To just say, okay, we're going to manufacture our own medicines and supplies from now on, that takes tooling up.
Oh, it does.
2, 3, 4 years to get yourself independent and away from buying from your enemies.
So from, back in the day, your pharmacist would mix the different things together and come up
put
with
them in
what
little capsules.
Right,
I mean,
what you
they can
needed.
do that.
But that, the compounds that go into those little capsules are all being manufactured in China. A lot of them. We
Well,
found this out during COVID.
Absolutely.
That should have woke us. Well, it did during COVID. I mean, we learned some of that, and I think we tried to correct. But it's even more now with the war and the Strait of Hormuz, like you say, getting closed down, and a lot of commerce coming through there. We have to be. Our country needs to be self-sustaining. Yes, we're in a world economy. But holy cow, why would we, the things that we would need, we would let our enemies hold that over our head?
For money, greed.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's not it's it's them. Corporations have kind of taken over our country, and we've lost it, and we're working so hard just to maintain ourselves and our home budget. You know, we can't fight all these little battles, and things that are done behind closed doors, it shows up at your doorstep, you know, months later, and you go, when did this happen? Well, they did it behind closed doors.
Right.
So those kind of deals we're not privy to, because if you put it to a vote, you go, no, we don't want you to do that. We want you to make this stuff at home. Yes, it may cost us 3 cents more per unit, but at least it won't be vulnerable to them shutting it off. And that's where we're at. They chose corporate greed over our welfare.
Right.
Got to change that, folks.
Yeah.
At any rate, if you're in any kind of building industry, I talked about conduits. It's not just conduits. I mean, there's a lot of electronics that go into every appliance out there. And guess where they're made? They're made in some Asian country. You know, thank God we still got at least a small hope of dealing with Japan.
Yes.
And Taiwan for the moment.
For the moment,
Yeah,
right.
for the and when I say for the moment, I mean it's for the moment. And those countries are in that war, so they're doing double duty, and you can't expect them to be able to keep up the pace like they used to. They have bigger fish to fry. They have security issues.
Yes.
So all of that is going to slow down the production of anything that's got electronics in it. I mean, we're starting to get into a large group of products when you say plastics and electronics. So if you can swing it in your budget, if at all possible, and you need one of these items, it would be smart to get it. You know, I realize that everybody's budget is hurting just in fuel alone. I mean, it's just about doubled for my business on fuel cost. It's crazy. I can't imagine some of these larger companies that have larger fleets of truck than I do. That's a big chunk. Now, what do you think's going to happen when they go to bid the next job or to build something? The price it keeps going up. You can't help it.
And they've already baked in the pricing into their current projects. So they're going to take the hit here and try to make up for it in the next one. So because they have
I'm
to stay
taking
afloat.
a hit right now on some projects, but you know, these are customers that I've been dealing with for years, and I'm not going to poke them in the eye.
Right.
Fortunately, some of them said, "I understand."
Yeah.
And we'll split that hit. How gracious is that?
Yeah, really.
Well, that's a relationship thing that we've built over the years.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make it through those. But I'm really looking at my numbers when it comes to bids and pricing things.
Sure.
And so is everybody else. So sticker shock is coming for that kind of stuff. So if you can lock in a little project now and still expect some sticker shock, do it. Get it in writing, get it down on paper, get the agreement, make a win-win deal, because you can't expect your contractor to lose and you win. That won't work.
Right.
He won't sign the check.
Right.
He won't do the job. So be thinking on that.
Yeah.
And that if you're your own contractor, a little home builder or just a handyman, you know, you're going to pay more for your materials for sure. So lock the price in on those materials.
Right.
How do you plan for something you have no news for?
Well,
how do you do that? Yeah. We're not getting news. We're getting opinions and gaslighting and he said, she said, they're bad. I don't want to know. I want the economics of it. How is that affecting us? How is it going to affect us? I mean, I want the Walter Cronkite kind of news.
Right.
Just the news, not your darn opinions.
Right.
And we've got, I think it was Glenn Beck was did a rant about who are these people that used to be comedians are now giving us our news.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Jimmy Kimmel and all those idiots. Who, by the way, went after the new Secretary of Homeland Security because he was a plumber. All right. One of his best friends, Adam Carolla, who they did the Man Show together years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And Adam is a conservative all the way. He's got his own, he's successful and all that. But Adam comes from a construction background. So he's a blue collar. Even Hannity. You know, a lot of people don't know Hannity.
He had a
painted
lot of
houses.
Jobs,
I mean,
wallpaper,
you know, all
that
kinds of stuff. So these guys know what it's like to put in a hard day's, you know, work. And for Kimmel to diss the guy who I think took over his dad's plumbing business and took it to the next level. You know, Jimmy Kimmel, he doesn't really have to make a payroll. ABC makes his payroll for him.
Right.
For him and his 100 producers, you know, for a failing show for late night. It's absurd. And he's gotten some blowback because right now, Jamie Dimon, who's an economic guy, very smart, very middle of the road, you would say, hey, he must lean a little conservative. But he was just talking this morning, I watched him on Fox, how plumbers, electricians, carpenters, we need them. And if you can do any of those, you're going to make good money, guys.
Right.
We need you, and you know, and Jimmy Kimmel's making fun of plumbers. You know, I'm sorry, I just because you know I came from a construction background, and I wish I was 20 or 30 years younger. I could be making mucho coin right now compared to what I used to make 20 years ago.
Well, on the flip side of that, if you have a construction business, you're having to pay premium dollars for these employees
Absolutely,
now.
yeah.
And that's just to have a guy that has good general knowledge and shows up, you know, regularly.
Right.
But those are rare.
Right.
You know, we've been called the deplorables. We've been called, you know, those
Walmart, smell like Walmart people.
Yeah. Well, I've come off of job sites in the middle of summer after sweating. You know, I'm not the most freshest daisy in the room, but it doesn't matter. I'd do anything for anybody that's helped me.
Well, you've done it for me.
And these guys are the salt of the earth. You better remember that.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to hard times, you need the guy that can fix stuff.
AI ain't going to come in and fix your leaky faucet. People.
Right. Your computer software technician is not going to come in and fix your screen door.
Right.
So we need these guys, and we need to elevate them to.
We need to honor them, yeah.
To a place. Same way with police officers.
Absolutely.
If you had to do a police officer's job with all the crap that's going on, would you do it? Probably not. Yeah. If you had to be a truck driver, good gosh, all the idiots on the road, and you got 80,000 pounds that you're in charge of and trying to control to keep from killing people.
Right.
That's a terrible job. And these guys do it day in, day out.
Right.
It's a hard life to have a blue-collar job, be good at it, and get any respect out of it. You know, if you're not some politician, it seems like you're just a deplorable. Well, let me tell you, us deplorables, there's a lot more of us than there are of them. Right. And maybe they need to be reminded, but I better not go there.
Yeah.
All right, so we're talking about just the shortages here. The simplest things, you'd be surprised how quickly things could disappear. Soap. You need it.
Yeah.
That sounds so silly, but if the crap hits the fan and we have a temporary shutdown of our economy, it'll be bad. If we lose the grid, it'll be extremely bad. If we get martial law, I don't know, pick one.
Right.
A storm comes through, pick one. Having just soap, especially antibacterial stuff, may be a survival item rather than just a convenience. If you get sick and there's no doctor and you can't drive because whatever reason, you need to take care of yourself and you need to keep yourself clean and everybody there. And because if you get an infection, that could be the death of you. In the Civil War, most people died of infection, not from bullet wounds, not from the enemy, because they couldn't treat it as well. They couldn't stay clean. There was a lot of things that happened during the Civil War that were just under the radar of information. But if you start researching through some of that stuff, you'll find out that it was the simple things that killed those guys. Not having bandages.
Right.
They washed bandages out. That can't be good. So, if you cut your finger, it's serious because you can't let it get infected. You'll end up losing a finger. And if it's that bad, no doctor's available.
Right.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
So just keeping things clean is a real pet peeve for me at my house. I don't want to get sick off of something so silly as not keeping things clean and sanitary.
right.
All right, enough said about that. Lighters and matches. Folks.
I'm writing this down, by the way.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
When the lights go out.
Can I just say real quick? There's days when we record this show, I'm on Amazon researching stuff like water filters a little filter that'll filter, 10,000 gallons of water or whatever it says. That's important.
It seems like water comes up every time. Now, I wonder why that is.
Yeah, well.
I have a priority list, and water will always be on the top.
Right.
Always. Then food, then shelter, then security, and then communications. There's your top 4 or 5 right there.
I'm sorry I interrupted, but
that's all right. This is a conversation between us and the whole darn world.
Right.
So they need to hear it too.
Yeah.
Lights. It's hard to get a candle started by rubbing 2 sticks together, folks. But a Bic lighter used in a smart way, not in your pocket. A lighter in your pocket will leak the gas out and won't last near as long. So, lighters and matches. Matches are pretty much a far gone thing too. But a lighter is the difference between freezing to death, not having light, or you got to be really good with a flint and steel and making fire like Barney Rubble.
All right. Yeah.
Which can be done, but it's much more convenient to have lighters and matches. You're going to have to start a fire somehow, keep warm, because grid goes down. How are you going to turn your stove on? Your furnace won't run, even though it's an oil furnace.
Right.
Your heat pump's definitely not going to run. It's all run on electricity.
Yeah.
So having just lights in your house where you got to, even if it's a single candle, will calm the room down. And if you don't believe me, just during a family dinner, just at night, turn off all the lights. What happens? Chaos.
Yeah.
Who in the heck just turned them lights out? Well, what if you can't turn them back on? Okay, Dad grabs a candle, puts it in the center of the table, instant calm. So there's a psychological factor to having light.
Right.
Hence, Jesus saying, I am the light of the world.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of references to that. So, light dispels darkness. Well, duh.
Yeah.
But there's 2 meanings to that. So, if you want your family to remain calm in a crisis, in the middle of the night, have some light. So, that's pretty critical. About a year ago, I went to a flea market, and there was a box of candles. They were kind of beat up. I mean, they weren't used. They were just beat up old candles of every. Apparently, the guy liked collecting candles.
Right.
because he had 40 pounds of them.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
And I said, "How much for the whole box?" It was like $10.
Wow.
What a deal!
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Huh.
Now, how many of you out there have a way to light your living room without AEP?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty serious.
Yeah.
Now, there's kerosene lamps, oil lamps, all that kind of stuff, and it's a fire thing.
Right.
So if you have an open flame in your house, there ought to be at least within 20 feet a fire extinguisher. Because, light bulbs don't tend to catch things on fire, but knocking a candle over will.
Yes, sir.
So candle boxes are a good thing. A plate.
Yeah, I was just
will
thinking
just
even a plate.
anything to keep because wax is a petroleum product, and it will, whatever it hits, it soaks in and catches fire.
Right.
So, a little safety tip there: just absolutely have fire extinguishers, and there's several kinds of fire extinguishers: CO2, halons, dry chemical. Dry chemicals are for any kind of fire. The CO2 does real good on small fires, non fuel things like that. And if you ever shot a fire extinguisher?
I think just once.
If you shot a fire extinguisher in a pan of grease, it's going to blow the fire all over the whole place. So there's a definite technique. And you may not want to go take training on how to use a fire extinguisher, but my God, YouTube it.
Yeah.
There is a technique to this, folks. And if you don't want to make a bad situation worse, you probably should teach everybody in the family, right down to, your 10-year-old should be able to use a fire extinguisher. I mean, we train them to shoot a rifle or a little .22 or BB gun. You have to do these same things. Safety is a big deal because it could shut your world down otherwise. So as we're talking about lighters and matches. It's just smart, folks. It's a cheap, easy fix.
Yeah.
It'll make your life so much easier. What about the guy, as far as a trade item? If the people are not thinking in these terms, and you have a lighter, and they've been trying to cook outside, and they don't have any lighters or matches, that is a trade item. Right. Unbelievable.
Sure. Yeah,
right.
Makes sense.
I mean, ask the caveman when he first discovered it, he was like, wow, I'm going to be rich. So having that is a critical item to me. That casing in that plastic lighter is made out of petroleum. Plastic, folks. It'd be crazy to think that we couldn't buy a lighter. But I'd bet anything in this world, the price of them lighters are going to go up.
Yeah.
Used to get them for 99 cents. They're like $2.39. Here's your sign.
True.
Construction-wise, I go through boots, one pair every year, good old Virginia dirt, the clay dirt, red. It's acidic, and it will eat the shoes off your feet. It eats the strings out. So a pair of boots doesn't last me very long.
Right.
Even quality boots don't last as long as they should, just because of what I'm in. Water, dirt, and the acidic soils, it just eats the strings. Next thing you know, you go, dang, they're gone. And the quality is just not like they were.
Right.
That's a fact. Unless you want to spend $300-$400 for a pair of boots, I tear them up too fast. I can't see that as being viable for me. So what I do is I buy 4 cheap pair when I catch them right. So everybody in your family ought to have a spare pair, at least one pair.
Yeah.
Now,
agree.
if you go in some people's closet, hell, they got
oh my gosh,
5 designer pairs.
Marcos'
my
wife.
running shoes. Well, good for you, man. You're going to need them.
Yeah.
You might be using those, $300 Reeboks out in the garden.
Well, Glenn, we're 29 minutes into this thing, and I'm looking over there at your stack of notes there. You've got a few things yet to cover. Why don't we take a break here? What would you like to pick up with next week? Because we're talking about wartime shortages. So let's give it a little tease for next week.
Just having a heavy blanket, because the heating system is no longer as efficient, because you may be burning wood or whatever, and then the wood stove itself. So we'll get into that kind of stuff, just normal stuff that you're going to have.
All right. Well, let's do that next time here on Sustainable Living Made Easy with Glenn Ballblitz. Glenn, thanks.
Thank you.
Join us again next week for Sustainable Living with Glenn Ballblitz, helping you be prepared and not scared. This podcast drops every Friday anywhere you get your podcast.